We have spoken of heroes forged in battle and fear. Tonight, we speak of a hero forged by wisdom and silence. A great mind who understood that sometimes, magic is simply the knowledge of how the world truly works. This is the truth of Django, the African wizard whose legend traveled the world to inspire the myth of Merlin. Our journey takes us to the vast, fertile riverbanks of an ancient kingdom, a place ruled not by one lineage forever, but by a solemn tribal turn, where one powerful clan ruled for an age before passing the staff of leadership to another, ensuring balance and diversity. This system was the cornerstone of their peace, yet it bred silent, simmering rivalry among the contenders.
In a small, secluded village lived a family of traditional healers. The child born to them was named Jengo. From his very first breath, he was different. The story goes that even as a young boy, his appearance shifted. Sometimes he seemed like an aged spirit, other times just a human child, making it difficult to know if Jengo was spirit or human. His mystical connection was secured by an ancient custom. When Jengo was just a child, his grandfather, a respected herbalist and diviner, was summoned to bless his grandchildren. For the other children, the grandfather performed the usual rites. But when it came to Jengo, the grandfather paused, looking into the boy with a profound sense of destiny. Instead of a simple blessing, the old man gave Jengo a small parcel, the ashes of his deceased mother, a woman revered for her knowledge of the earth. He instructed the boy to bury the ashes deep in the earth beneath his sleeping hut. This act was the origin of Jengo's power. He did not gain power through study, but through a direct, mysterious bond with the soil and the ancestral spirits contained within the ashes. From that moment, Jengo possessed knowledge that was not his own. He knew the secrets of the hidden roots, the language of the animals, and the future paths of the elements. He was given the nickname Mwenye Hekima, he who holds wisdom. While Jengo grew up in quiet knowledge, the kingdom's system of tribal turn was fracturing. The time for the ruling clan to step down was approaching, and the next in line was a young, untested nobleman named Pada. Pada was destined to ascend the throne, but his aggressive rivals refused to wait. They constantly attacked him, seeking to eliminate the rightful heir before he could be crowned. One evening, Pada was traveling back alone from a diplomatic ceremony, foolishly taking a secluded forest path. Knowing this was their last chance, Pada's rivals had sent a group of assassins, hardened, swift men armed with silent blades, to ambush and kill the heir in the wilderness. At that very moment, Jengo was deep in that same forest. He was not there by chance. He was following the subtle pulse of the earth to gather rare, magical healing herbs that only bloomed under the specific light of the moon. As the assassins silently surrounded Pada, ready to strike, Jengo heard the danger not with his ears, but with his inner senses, the silent screaming of the herbs and the panicked thrum of the earth beneath the violence. Jengo emerged from the darkness. He saw the helpless heir surrounded by blades, and he acted instantly. He did not draw a sword. He raised his hands to the silent, dark forest. He used the magical bond gifted by the earth's ashes, reaching out with his mind to the wilderness. With a terrifying, primal roar, a pack of wild wolves, creatures that normally feared humans, emerged from the thicket, launching themselves at the assassins. The attack was swift, coordinated, and brutal. The terrified assassins, overwhelmed by the sudden, unnatural animal fury, fled into the night, leaving Pada safe but utterly shaken. Jengo, the healer and wizard, stood before the heir, his eyes glowing with the deep knowledge of the forest. This meeting, the all-knowing wizard saving the helpless ruler, was not an accident. It was the moment destiny began to unfold. Jengo and the future king, Pada, were bound together forever.
Pada, desperate for legitimacy and survival against his rivals, knew he needed more than warriors. He needed the unseen advantage Jengo possessed. He took Jengo back to his hidden court, not as a healer, but as his chief advisor. This began a profound, unique alliance. The aspiring king and the all-knowing wizard. Jengo became the architect of order. He did not participate in endless council debates. Instead, he would simply state the truth. If you march tomorrow, the pass will be flooded by the unexpected river surge. The spy in your household is not the one you suspect, but the trusted cousin who offers you wine. Django's prophecies were always correct. His knowledge of natural events and hidden human intent was flawless. Pata, following Django's counsel, began to outmaneuver every rival. He avoided ambushes, exposed betrayals, and leveraged environmental chaos into strategic victories. Django's powers extended far beyond prophecy and commanding the creatures of the forest. He demonstrated the deeper magic he had acquired from the ancestral earth, the ability to change his form. When Pata needed intelligence from the rival camps, Django would vanish, and a strange, wise dog would appear near the rival's fire, hearing their deepest secrets. When Pata needed to observe a secret meeting without suspicion, Django would transform into a woman, a healer or a traveler, to observe the proceedings and return with precise knowledge. He could even transform into a wolf and pass through the deep brush undetected. The rivals were defeated by a force they could not see or understand. The attacks against Pata stopped. Through a combination of Pata's noble spirit and Django's absolute mastery of magic and prophecy, the heir successfully ascended the throne, establishing a new, peaceful era in the tribal turn system. Pata was crowned king, and Django became his most powerful, most silent advisor. Django ensured the stability of the kingdom by governing the unseen world, predicting droughts, blessing the harvests with ancestral earth magic, and neutralizing rival sorcery. He became known not by his name, but simply as the Great Seer. His wisdom and counsel were the very foundation of the new, strong reign. But Django maintained his isolation. He still returned to the forest to gather his herbs, preferring the company of the earth to the company of men. He used his powers not for personal gain or glory, but only to build the peace he knew Pata was destined to bring. His legacy was secured. The most powerful wizard in the world was the one who worked quietly, imposing order through knowledge and securing the rule of the rightful king. The kingdom of Pata prospered for an entire age, secured not by swords and shields, but by the quiet, perfect wisdom of Jengo, the Mwenye Hekima, he who holds wisdom. He was the invisible anchor of the kingdom, the architect who built the walls of order that lasted for generations. Django never sought a throne or a title. He remained the king's most trusted, silent advisor, always maintaining the distance required by his unique and powerful connection to the earth and the spirits. He taught the king that true power was not magic, but the wisdom to listen to the unseen forces, the needs of the people, the coming of the drought, and the whispers of the ancestral earth. His powerful and mysterious abilities became legendary even in his own time. The greatest story told of Django was his ability to transform into creatures, the wise dog, the swift wolf, or the seemingly insignificant woman, to gather truth where lies were spoken. This ensured that no secret could be kept from the king. He left behind a great warning, predicting the coming of pale, foreign tribes who would possess sticks that spat fire. He advised the kingdom to rely on wisdom and concealment, for this new force could not be beaten with magic or spears alone. As centuries passed, the kingdom of Pata eventually faded, but the stories of the founding era, the great, wise wizard who put the rightful king on the throne, did not die. When travelers and chroniclers from far-off lands came, they heard the fragmented, incredible tales of the African advisor. They heard of the powerful seer who could predict the future with flawless accuracy. They heard of the great mage who was able to change his form into animals and people. They heard of the essential advisor who used his magic not to rule, but to establish political order for a young, untested king. As the story crossed the vast deserts and the wide oceans, the name Django, the name of the righteous builder, was lost in translation and cultural misunderstanding. The magical abilities remained, but the context changed. The story of the all-knowing wizard who guides the destined king became a seed that planted itself in the culture of a far-off European isle. The narrative was stripped of the African earth, the ancestral ashes, and the tribal turn system. The character was given a new name, a new history, and a new environment of stone castles and knights. But the foundation remained entirely the same. The powerful, shape-shifting wizard who uses his impossible wisdom to install the rightful, untested king and establish a legendary age of peace and order. The myth of Merlin is not a European invention. It is the echo of Django, the Mwenye Hekima of ancient Africa, the great political and magical architect who proved that the true power of a wizard is not in chaos and fire, but in the perfect knowledge of how to build a better future.